Hi, everybody. It's Mark Rushton of markrushton.com. It is Saturday, January 1st, 2022. And this video is I'm going to talk about my 2021 and my plans for 2022. So that's super original, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I don't know. I think I should do more of these every so often. Talk about it. I don't want to feel like I'm going over the same ground time and time, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's the thing that makes people a success. They just go over the same ground over and over again. I don't know. Or maybe some people just have that personality that people are looking for and like. Not mine. I'm a little too, I don't know. Uh, I don't know. Secretly snarky or something like that. Sarcastic. Too much Holden Caulfield. I don't know. But so what do we got going on here? I'm going with natural light today from the window here in the office. As you can see here in out in rural Johnson County, Iowa, it's been snowing a little bit here. I think we've got about 3 or 4 inches of 3 inches of snow, maybe. I don't know. Can't quite tell. They were predicting all sorts of doom and gloom, which my wife Ann, she's been saying this for years. It's like Ann's theory, and honestly, it's correct about 86% of the time. And so it goes like this: if they don't know how much snow we're going to get, if it's like changing every couple of hours or days or whatever, then what you do to find out how much snow you're really going to get, for the most part, is that you take the highest amount that they broadcast. Any service, take the highest amount, divide it in half, and then divide it a half again. Particularly if they say something like, well, there's going to be a hard edge, a hard border between those 12 inches of snow and the 2 inches of snow. And I don't know. She's right quite a bit of the time. She was right on this one. I don't know what we're going to end up on this. Maybe 3 or 4 inches of snow. Exactly. They've been predicting doom and gloom earlier yesterday, and it's just a nice snow. And it's gonna be cold tomorrow, but whatever. It's winter, that's the way it is. Oh my gosh! Oh no! But yeah, I kind of want to just have these sort of off the cuff, unedited, rambling messes on creativity. Because I'm both a recording artist, an artistic recording artist, and a painter. And so, I like to talk about creativity and relating to both disciplines. So, 2021. What can I say about 20? It was a good year. Good year on the recording artist side. The fine art side, skating through. Really didn't make much in the way of new art. I sort of repurposed some old art. That's about all I could do. I had a lot of stuff going on, man. A lot of stuff going on. And we don't know. We can't go into that just yet. And I don't know if we want to go into that. But and it's not what you think. It's not about this. It's not about that. It's not about the 13 other things. And it's definitely not the thing that everybody's been dealing with. That is so far down the list in terms of crap we've had to deal with this year. So we don't need to go into that. I want to just kind of keep it on the creativity angle here. And as I glance out the window for the longest period of time. So towards the end of 2021, I spent a lot of time getting my music catalog more organized. A couple of years ago, I had seen Airtable, which is a cloud-based relational database. It's like Excel on steroids, I guess. Of course, Excel isn't really a database, but when I used it the first time, I was like, oh, here's another thing, right? But I encountered this thing called Gizmo, and it's a template for Airtable written by this guy. And then he has a paid version called Gizmo Plus, and that's what I ended up using. I ended up using the paid version because I liked it so much. I thought this solves my problem, which is because I have so many published recordings out there, and you have to have your title, and I operate under many different artist names, and I've got all my codes here and there and everywhere. And then I wanted to spend 2022 starting to dip my toe in the world of synchronization licensing of my music and recordings, syncs. And so I'm going to spend some time. I've been spending some time researching that industry. I think I'm going to try to go with try to uh, connect up with a micro licensing agency that deals in ambient music, electronic music, field recordings, that sort of stuff. And I've got my eye on some, but again, there's a lot of things I have to do in advance before I go and submit. It's not really a portfolio, but sort of a just talking about myself, and which you can come out here and watch these videos and see how I conduct myself. Like one of them had a no a-holes policy, and I'm like, it's good, 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 good. You don't see me swearing in these videos now, do you? That's where lately I've been I've been kind of adopting that sort of a policy. Whew. But let me go into that. So there's that Airtable and Gizmo Plus. I got most of my data in there, and then I've got to sync it up with sync, not synchronization, but I have to make sure that data in there matches what I have in Songtrust. Songtrust is the administrator of the mechanical and publishing royalties of my sound recordings worldwide. And I've been with them for a couple of years, and they've been great. And they make it real easy. But I had a problematic import of data when I joined them 2 years ago. We took an export from ASCAP, and that had some problems with it. And so anyway, I think we've got that cleaned up. But that was happening over just before Christmas break, and they'll get back to me here in a couple of weeks when they've got the data massaged, right? And that, and then I realized I hadn't updated anything in Sound Exchange for 3 years, 3.5 years, and Sound Exchange handles certain royalties on the radio side, and I'm going to get it wrong, so I'm not going to go too far into it. But it's when you get paid on the radio side of Pandora, not the on-demand side, but the radio side of Pandora, or like iHeartRadio, the radio side of that, or I'm guessing terrestrial radio stations. But my music really isn't on there. Sirius XM, I've had some plays. A number of tracks played on that in the last few years here, including last year. What else is there? Soma FM, great site out of the West Coast. There, I think they're in San Francisco, and been sending music to them for years, and other things too. Other services out there. I get the royal reporting and stuff on that every so often. So anyway, I discovered that I was like 3.5 years. Oops, I'd forgotten. And so I got that. I think I've got that. So those numbers. So the numbers that I have in Airtable, and the numbers are the number of tracks I have in Airtable, and the number of tracks in Songtrust, and the number of tracks in Sound Exchange. Eventually, I'm going to get those matching. They're all pretty close right now, very, very close. And some of those services, I have tracks that never got published to streaming services because I've been publishing music for about 20 years. And so that's just a cleanup job. And I did that until all these services kind of hung up their guns for the holidays. Then after that, what else did I do? So Airtable. Yeah, Airtable, I pay for Airtable Pro because it's got some extra things I'll probably need down the line. The other thing I bought at the end of 2021 was disco.ac. That's something that I heard about in the various podcasts and videos on synchronization licensing that I've been doing research on. And these are from the last couple of years, these podcasts and videos. And I kept hearing it over and over again. These people are just like, oh, if you're going to be working with a micro licensing agency, if you're going to be pitching to creatives, if you're going to have stuff out there that people in the industry, it's sort of like an industry type of thing. You want to be able to have some of your tracks at least out on disco.ac, and you want to be able to do that, building things. So I dipped my toe into it. They give you 30 days free, and then I decided to pay for one of the versions, and just slowly get into that here. Because what I don't want to do is I want to have everything cleaned up. Everything doesn't have to be out there, but I want to focus on the ambient music stuff first. I'm thinking that's probably the way to go, but I don't know. My research, we'll see. Have that sort of discussion. I don't know. It'd be nice. Kind of, it's this, syncs, kind of an extra income stream. It's something that I haven't really done too much of in the past. If I have, it's been for, freebies or through other things where you just get pennies and nickels and stuff like that. So this would be more like your, usage in industrial films or commercial TV, movies, series, advertisements, things like that. And but my, I go into it with no expectations, absolutely none, because and you hear this all the time in the research that I've been doing. So they always talk about the Nike ad or the Super Bowl commercial. It's like, that's like winning the Powerball. That ain't gonna happen. Don't be unrealistic. So I'm happy just being able to, somebody out there, maybe a little somebody looking for some kind of music. They're looking for the kind of music that I make. They're not necessarily looking for me, but it's kind of like, oh, this fits with what I want, or thematically, or this is this sort of sound, or wow, I didn't even know this guy existed. That's what I like to see, and that's kind of where I want everything to go. But wants, needs, desires, all that sort of stuff. I dipping my toe into it. Dipping my toe. Who knows? Just open that dialogue and be professional, be respectful, and have your ducks in a row before you go and dive into that, jump into that. I've seen other musicians over my decades, and I don't know. I just want to have things organized, and so there's that. What else have I been doing in 2021? I've been making daily playlists up until about maybe a month ago, maybe about 3 weeks ago. I was making daily playlists from Spotify and then transferring them around to other services worldwide via Soundiz, Sound-IIZ, and Tune My Music. You need to use Tune My Music to get your playlist transferred over to Amazon Music for some reason. Very, very weird. And yeah, I subscribed to a bunch of streaming services in 2021. I think I subscribed to 6 now. I don't use them some of them I never use. I'll log into them every now and then, maybe play a few tracks, other tracks, not my own stuff. And then I just want to see how things are presented and see if there's any problems. I always tell that to other artists out there. It's like, well, if you're just relying on Spotify or something like that, but you are distributed to 15, 20, 30 things out there. You got to see did it make it? Is it out there? How's it presented? Does somebody else have your name? Does somebody else's music on yours? Yeah, you need to verify that. Uh, what else is going on? Oh, pitching. So did a lot of pitching to playlist curators in 2021. Actually got a track of mine into a Spotify curated playlist. I think it happened in October. It was a track that I had pitched. I think it was in June or July, and then for some reason it didn't get into the playlist until October, and it's been there since. I think it was renewed around Christmas time, and that's a big playlist. It's I think at the time I got it in there. It had about 325,000 followers or likers or whatever like that. That doesn't mean that many people listen to it on a regular basis. And there's about 75 tracks in the playlist, and I'm about 12. That's pretty good placement, and it's been a nice income stream. It's been great. I've probably pitched over 100 tracks to Spotify for Artists in the last few years here from the different names that I publish under. And that's one nice thing about publishing under a lot of different names. You do get that opportunity there. But again, very low percentage for me as far as a hit rate, but it's a nice hit rate. Getting one finally into something. And if it had been into a playlist, if it had been into a curated playlist that was a little more avant-garde, maybe only had 5,000 or 10,000 followers and a fraction of that stream, that would have been great too. No problem with that. I no problem with that. That's way cool. So, and then all the other stuff. Yeah. What else we get in there? Yeah. So I was trying to get into Amazon Music for Artists. I just made a video about that recently. I got most of my artists in there, and then they keep rejecting some of the artists that I'm trying to claim, and it's kind of a pain. Kind of a pain. And I got into Deezer for Creators, and I got into GeoSavin One, although that's not really worth it. Deezer for Creators it's nice for some basic stats. Amazon Music for Artists would be cool if I could get everything in there, but we'll see. What was the other thing I said? I'd always save your pitches. If you're pitching Spotify for Artists, write out your pitch. Of course, know what they want. If you don't know what they want, then you need to do a little bit of research. If you're just like, you don't know how to, if you don't know what they want, how are you going to get something possibly accepted in there? So that's one thing that I spent some time in 2021 figuring out. What do they want? What are they looking for? They're looking for your kind of music. They're not looking for you. I know I say this all the time. Beat it, India. And I guess you could apply that to other artistic disciplines as well. I attended those Pandora Amp office hours. I think I did one last year. I should do it a little bit more often, but I was a little busy. It was during when the day job, and so I couldn't always attend. But those are great. Those are great. Great resource. Pandora Amp, fabulous service. Difficult to understand. Takes a while to kind of understand it, but it's a really good service. And so is Spotify for Artists, and maybe Amazon Music for Artists could be that good. And I don't know. I'm getting snarky here. I quit podcasting. I stopped podcasting. I was making what was I making? Music podcasts for 17 years. Made 181 episodes, and last few years here, I got bored with it. It took too long to produce. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to talk in them or whether I wanted to just have music. And then stats were fine, but I was like, it just 17 years. It was time to Time to end that. Whereas I kind of like this here. I like this format, just sort of rambling out, talking about this sort of thing, and not, I think people should experience music on their own. I don't think you need me sitting here acting like a DJ and playing things in between rambles or stuff like that. I don't know. So anyway, I stopped doing that. Quit paying Libsyn the money. They were good. They were fine. They were fine service. Before that, I don't know how many years I was with Libsyn. Probably seven or eight or something like that. Before that, I hosted it myself, and that became a pain because of Apple. But what do you think? So have I wrung everything out of the music side of things? Yeah, I think I have for the most part. See if there's anything else here that I need to. So let's jump over to the visual arts side, right? So as you can see here on the page, I have reactivated my eBay art store. I stupidly ended the listings. I had 43 paintings listed out there, and I stupidly ended them in October. I might have been sick at that time. And anyway, I went back through the paintings, and I've got 9 up there now, and sort of went through them, made sure that they were all okay. They're in storage. And we get the little bumpers in the right spot. Somebody will criticize that. Oh yeah, I've also opened up the comments, sort of. Comments have to be approved now, but I'd closed comments for the last year because I less spam. And so I'm going to do if you want to leave a comment, you can leave a comment, but I'll have to approve it so that you don't look like spam. We're fine. All right. So here's one of the paintings. Let's see if we get there. That I relisted. Whoops. There we go. And so I got the plexiglass in there to protect the image. This is Evening Heat, and 8x10 is the frame. And it's acrylic ink on Tyvek synthetic paper, which is adhered to a cradled wood panel. And that is pretty damn awesome. This is paintings from a couple years ago. I didn't really produce anything new in 2021. And this is, abstract landscape. An abstract landscape. And so it's got, it's got the D hooks and the wire, little bumpers down here. And I think it's signed down here there we go, down the corner. Nice. Doesn't that look cute? That'd look good in your kitchen, wouldn't it? Maybe the bathroom. I like art in the bathroom. You know why? You see it more often than you do maybe in other parts of the house. I'm serious. So there's that. And I'd like to do more like that in the future. But I'm going to do it like a little bit different way than how I did it here, which was, making the image and then framing it. What I want to be able to do is make the image, scan it, put the original in, one of those catalog sleeves, and then be able to do this with it. Produce. What is this? It's Evening Heat. It's a variation of Evening Heat. This is dye sublimation. So it's the image from Evening Heat, but it's printed on aluminum sheet via dye sublimation. And I like these. I saw dye sublimation artworks in a gallery. What was it? 2.5 years ago? It was before the COOF, right? And the artists had like a bunch of these on the wall, and they're all like the same size, and they look fantastic, just like this. And that was exciting to see at the time. And so that always stuck in the back of my head. And I know that people that print on T-shirts and things like that, they use dye sublimation now. And dye sublimation was, pretty fancy I don't know how long ago, like 15 years ago or something like that, and expensive. And nowadays it's, well, Epson makes it, excuse me. They have a cheapy version that works with a printer. I don't want anything to do with that. But they have a dedicated dye sublimation printer that will do up to 24 by 36 for, I forgot what the price is, a little over $2,500. And then another, what is it, $900 for heat press. So about $3,500 or so. And then the little aluminum panels, I think they cost about $1 or $2 each. They're not much. I don't know how they do this here. I think they glue that on or something. I'm not quite sure how that's adhered. But yeah, that's great. And the thing I love about this, it's not, let's back up here. The thing I love about this is right, it can get dirty. It can get bumped into. It can get stored improperly. And it's not, unless you really destroy it, it's pretty, it can be open. It's versatile. Doesn't need you don't need extra plexiglass. It's going to get that floating feeling there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like a good frame too. These can be put in frames. These can be put in wood frames. Not a big deal. And then these could be open faced. So I like that. I like that aspect of it. I think that's where I want to go forward with some of my visual art. The other, I still want to paint acrylic on canvas, which I've been getting back to lately. I've been repainting old canvases that are around the house, just kind of sprucing things up. But yeah, this is kind of where I want to go. And it's not because I want to sell prints or anything like that, PRINTS. But it's because I want to have something that looks good and is, again, just, you can touch it. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. You can scratch it. Not a big deal. I like that. I like that aspect of it. There's a lot of artists out there that get hung up on originals versus prints. And I would call this a variation because this looks different, This looks different, slightly different from this. I think I like this a little bit better. I don't know. But I mean, do we have to worry about art collectors? I mean, it's not, I don't think that's a thing that I really need to worry about. If I have that sort of problem, then I'm doing okay. Right? Whereas if I'm just making these, I make a great image and I'm out there selling them at a reasonable price, and somebody's happy because, oh, hey, I got one too. I want that. That's fine. So that's kind of where I want to go to. That'll probably be later in 2022. I know I just keep stacking it up here. How do I have time for how do I have time for the day job and the recording artist stuff and then the fine art? Well, everything has its time during the day. And try to make time. I'll have more time. I'll have much more time in 2022 than I did in 2021 because I spent a lot of my free time in 2021 dealing with matters related to my late father-in-law's estate, which we will not go into just yet. Maybe eventually we will talk about that. I'd love to talk about it. I would love to talk about it in a constructive way. So had that going on. some things have to fall by the wayside. And for me last year, it was the art. It was the art. The art had to fall by the wayside because what am I selling? Right? Like the music's doing good. Good. Best year ever for music royalties. Best year ever for me. And this is something I want to kind of keep talking about, music royalties, because there's a lot of opportunity out there. And I think the future looks good with regard to digital distribution, streaming, licensing, synchronization, everything. I don't think it's been a better time for artistic recording artists. Now, live musicians, that's another thing. I'm not a live musician, so don't. I'm not. I wouldn't even call myself a musician. You can't even lump me in. Don't lump me in with that. I have no interest in playing live ever again. I have no interest in touring. I have no interest in selling CDs or cassettes or vinyl. If you want to do that, that's fine. Go right ahead. I might even buy some from you. I have no desire whatsoever to go back to that world. Go back to the world of record stores. As quaint as that may seem, as uh, romantic as that might be. Oh, you saw, what was that movie? High Fidelity. Oh, oh, you saw that movie. It's not really how, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Uh, just, I don't know. Record stores. I kind of hated them. They never had anything in stock. And then if you special ordered something, they'd get it in and they'd sell it to somebody else. That happened to me. That was the last time I ever dealt with a record store. Yeah, they were going to special order me an Arthur Russell CD, and then they never called. And then I went into the store several weeks later. I said, "Did you forget that Arthur Russell CD for me?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, we sold that." Just like, I special ordered that. Oh, oh, you want us to order it again? No, I'll just go to Amazon. They got it out there. I thought, gee, I thought I might patronize a local business and give you a little bit of money, but you don't want that. I don't know where all those people moved to, all those people that ran record stores. Did they end up going into music journalism? Because I try to avoid music journalism, but I can't. I can't stop. I should stop looking at it entirely, but it seems like every time you sort of see the headlines, there's always something out there. There's always a hit piece on the streaming services or something, or why do the top artists make so much money? How many mansions does Taylor Swift have? How many weeks is Adele going to be in Vegas? Which which next symbol on the keyboard will Ed Sheeran's album be? And other stuff that most people do not care about. I honestly I couldn't name any of their music. That's fine. People want to be into that. That's fine. But it's really weird. It's really weird to see the music journalism and how they uh, just complain about everything. Right? It's just like that. That's not the world that I see. That's not the world that I have experienced as a artistic recording artist, publishing works for the last 20 years. I've just not seen it. They're still operating under this, they're still operating in the Napster era from 20 years ago when people were stealing music, or they're still operating in 2013 when Spotify had hardly any subscribers in the United States. Oh, we're not making any money from stream. Yeah, because there's nobody on Spotify. They don't have that many. They only got 1 million or 2 subscribers. How can I live? What kind of a contract did you sign? I signed a really bad contract. It's like, sucks to be you. I'm 100% independent, 100% independent. I own all my masters. I own all my publishing. I'm one stop. And so, yeah, they get all these articles from these people. They're like, "Oh, I got ripped off." I'm like, "What? You signed the wrong contract." I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. You gonna lump me in with that too? You want some more of my money? Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should have more rants like that. I don't know. I don't know whether that plays well or not. I'm a bit of a, what's the word? Iconoclast about that sort of thing. Most people don't care, but when you see your industry sort of badmouthed and trashed by lots of people, and for like no real good reason. I mean, it'd be one thing. It'd be one thing if they were like, I don't know how do you say this? You know, the bad contracts of yore. Can they still get away with that? Why aren't we complaining about that? Why aren't we complaining about bad contracts? Instead, they're just complaining about per stream or whatever. Or I can't make a living because I only get 9,000 streams a day on Spotify. I can't afford to live in Brooklyn or London. Well, maybe you need to make commercial music. Maybe you need to go and do a cover of an Adele song, or cover an Ed Sheeran song. That might get you some press. I don't know, but yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of that, and I don't know. I should ignore it. I should completely ignore it, but it's out there. You see it, and you can't unsee it. I don't know. What else is going on in 2022? Let's move out of the past and move into the future. Time keeps on slipping, slipping, slipping. Managing stress and improving health. That's something I've been doing here the last several months with great success. Uh, I don't know if I want to get into that just yet here, but yeah, I gave up breakfast. I don't eat breakfast anymore. I eat lunch about noon. Noon is the first meal of my day. I do what they call intermittent fasting, and cut out sugar and most processed grains. And it's been great. Sleep good. Get as much sleep as you can. Uh, get some exercise here in a little bit, shoveling snow. Try to manage your stress the best way possible. And Lord knows, I had a lot of stress in 2021. I don't know how I've done it. I don't know how I did it. Oh, I know how I did it. I cut out sugar, cut out processed grains, quit eating seed oils, and make most of my food at home. And supplements, all the different supplements I take, which I've talked about, I think, in another video. I added nutritional yeast this year. That's fantastic. I took up a sport. Took up a new sport in 2021, disc golf. There's a course about 5 minutes away from my house, and would go there and some other courses in the area, the region, and that was fun till it started snowing. It was kind of fun. I had my first ace, my first hole in one up in Mount Vernon, Iowa. It's a short course up there. I think the hole was about 110, 120 feet. So it's a really short hole, but still hitting it in the bin from that distance, and still being a relative newbie. That was super exciting. I didn't capture it on video, but that's the way it goes. What was the other thing I do? I don't watch the news. Yes, I do occasionally see a headline here or there, or when I'm at the grocery store, you pass by the newspapers that are at the front, and you're just like, I can unsee that. I don't need to see that. So yeah, I don't watch that. I really don't watch much television. If I do, it's just like YouTube shows and stuff like that, mostly about health or cars or the London Underground, like that Jago Hazard. And the Canadians, love all the Canadians. Camping with Steve, Cold War Motors. I'm sure there's more. I still watch Jay Leno's Garage and Hoovie and the Wizard, Car Wizard, and occasionally Vice Grip. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe in 2022, there's one. The other thing, I want to buy like sort of a classic car, not like a classic car, but like a kind of a not quite a classic car. Maybe something from the 80s that's still kind of, it's not, I don't want a rust bucket or anything like that, but I don't want something that I'm going to have to pay 6 digits to get, right? And then still have to fix up. That's out there. What's the other thing here? That's pretty much it for now. I know this is a huge, long ramble. No one's going to watch this. Nobody's going to watch this. No one cares. No one cares. But, I got to talk about this with somebody. I got to talk about this with somebody because the people that I normally talk about this with, too, they've either lost their minds or they're behind bars. Whew. And I can only say this so much with my wife who appreciates, everything that I do as far as providing art for the walls and music as a soundtrack and the royalties that I get from that. That's super nice. But I can only talk to her so much about that. And then she's off with her baking shows. And that's the secret of a good marriage. That's it. That's it for today. It's gonna get dark soon. I think I'm gonna go shovel here soon. I think I'll shovel before dinner and work up a bit of an appetite before it gets super frigid. It's already cool. It's like 15. I just don't want to be shoveling when it's -5 Fahrenheit. That's it. All right. Uh, I don't know if this will be a daily thing, but because I don't know, I don't want it to become like a grind or anything. But at least try to do at least once a week in in 2022. I don't know. We'll see. And I got to do a realtor recon again soon. That was a videos I was making in earlier 2021. About me wanting to have sort of an office or an art studio of some kind, rented or purchased building somewhere. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but I like talking about real estate. I have always enjoyed looking at and talking about real estate. I don't know why. All right. Have a good year. We'll talk to you later.